6:09 p.m. We'll entertain a nomination for a temporary chair to run this meeting this evening.
I nominate Danielle Thompson.
I'll second that.
Second. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. All in favor of having Danielle Thompson be the temporary chair for tonight's meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain. Hearing none, Danielle Thompson, I turn this meeting over to you.
All right. So we'll start with the opening the public hearing. Public hearing on the proposed $15,000 donation from the Jack and Dorothy Burton Foundation for the 2023 high school Washington, D.C. trip. And Mr. Sweetman, would you like to talk at all about the
Certainly.
process?
Certainly. And I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do,
Yeah.
so there you go. But of course, I did something, so there we go. Approximately about the 14th or 13th of the month, I forget the exact date of the letter, we had sent a request to the Jack and Dorothy Burton Foundation for support for the Washington, D.C. trip of next spring. We asked for a certain amount of money, and they gave us significantly more than that certain amount of money, which is incredibly generous of them. And so, my understanding is that, that money then is for the board to decide how to use. I have some ideas.
I think that you could probably mention them.
Okay.
When we accept, which is later in the agenda, the business portion of the meeting, we accept the donation for the purpose stated. So I don't know how much leeway we have that, we wouldn't defer that to another.
And I'm happy to come back at another time to talk about it, because I have had a chance to talk to the World Strides representative, so I feel like I'm up to date on the information, and think I have come up with something I'd like to discuss. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could hear, absolutely, I think we can hear that now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, what we, basically, the only thing we can do tonight is accept the donation.
Right.
And
Well, I want to say, I'd be happy I wrote up a couple things, and I'd be happy to give them to you. So, my general suggestion, it's a $15,000 grant, is to use $10,000 of it for the trip. It's very generous, and we could certainly use it all, but it seems to me that $10,000 is a lot of money, and that would be great. The other thing is we want the kids to have some skin in the game, and we've talked very much about fundraising in the fall, and so I definitely want that to be a part of it. And so what I would suggest is that we use that $10,000 for three functions. One is direct assistance, in terms of the cost of the trip. The second would be for meal money on the bus, because that would not be covered. And so I've just put together, like $30 down, $30 back, so that's like $15 a major meal. And then we right now have 18 students. As that number grows, and I think it's going to grow, I think we should have a second chaperone. If that number gets above 20, that's going to be hard for me to contain. And so the World Strides will pay for the chaperone on multiples of 15. So if we had 25, for example, World Strides would prorate that. So there would be some expense for the second chaperone. It's not a lot of money. It kind of depends on the number of kids, but that would be, I think, money I would like to suggest go to cover, because I think that would just be safer and would make more sense. I ran some numbers with 18 kids, 25 kids, 35 kids, because the cost of it is kind of sliding on the number of kids who are signed up. And I kind of put some thoughts together on that. So I'm happy to leave them. But that's kind of in general, and then like I said, I'd be happy to come back and kind of go through it in detail.
Great. And just to clarify, you mentioned using 10,000, the donation is for 15,000, which we'll consider later on for accepting that amount. The 10,000 to use towards the trip, and then 5,000 would be for those other things, or do you have something else?
To the extent that I would recommend that 5,000 the board to be used for supporting other field trips. Because we have other groups that can do things and
Yeah, she's very specific that school trips are a great way to, the
I mean,
enthusiasm is there to introduce
clearly,
students
yeah.
to the world beyond, so.
Yeah. And so that would be my recommendation, but I mean, I guess what I propose is that 10,000 be allocated to the DC trip for us to use.
Any other questions?
I guess I'm just curious from Rob how this looks, in terms of when you get funds for a trip, you ask for X and then you get Y. Is that-
I think we can, discuss alternatives, to increase the amount for the trip. If there's surplus, maybe the next year's DC trip, we can hold, it's a, Fund 80 that will roll over. We don't have to get rid of it. So
So you could allocate a portion of it to next year's,
right?
less fundraising.
Or the next time, sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think this is a trip we would do every year.
Yeah.
I don't think we want to be DC banned foreign language trips. I would think that post-COVID we would space them.
Yeah.
That would be my, that would be, not that we couldn't use the money, because I'm sure we could agree with that, absolutely, because again, you just spread it out over the kids, that's great. But I think that would be, we have sent out 2 other requests for funds too, and so who knows what's going to happen with that.
We also, they canceled the France trip. I mean, nobody's done France, or the French trip, so, in terms of next year, right?
Yes, all those things kind of fell apart.
Any questions from our guests? All right, at this time, I'll close the public meeting at now 6:17.
Should I read this with you?
And we'll begin our regular board meeting with pledge of allegiance. Yep, I'll make sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've got minutes, public and non-public, from our last meeting on June 14th. Someone wants to make a motion? Start discussion on this.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from June 14th, public and non-public.
A second? I'll second. Thank you, Candace. Okay.
I have one
Yep.
correction on page, not really a correction, it's just something I thought was important to add into the minutes, the public record, so to speak. Line 33 to 36, where we're discussing.
Which page?
Page 2, line 33 to 36. Where Rob was talking about the HVAC project for Enfield and Canaan Elementary School. I did ask the question about whether that project was going to be covering the air exchange for the individual classrooms in each school. In other words, improving each classroom per se. And the answer was yes, it would. And first I wanted to know what, but I also specifically kind of wanted it. I stated I've been in a classroom where this happened, and the quality of just the quality. It's not just a temperature comfort thing. It was the difference in the ability to learn when you're not in a stuffy classroom full of CO2. That I actually observed that there was a lot more perky kids, towards the end of the day, that it really helped academically. in addition to comfort. So I realize that's hard to put into one together, but I just thought it was important that, you know, it's not just a comfort thing. It really did, I literally saw it improve, you know, academic concentration and that kind of thing. So.
Well, is there any, did you get enough of?
Does that help you to
Hopes.
just put the gist of that in there?
Yep.
Okay.
Did Amanda confirm that it was, or did Rob confirm that it was? Because we have to put
It was
actually
Rob.
what happened in the meeting
Yeah.
and not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, Rob.
But
Okay, thank you both. Were there any other corrections or edits needed? All right, so all in favor of approving the public and non-public minutes of June 14th as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstain. Okay. Passes 4-0-0. All right. Next, we have public comment. Do we have any public comment tonight?
Yeah, I do. I brought this to EIC, I believe, last year. I brought it to the director of curriculum 3 years ago, the prior director of curriculum. And I really think we ought to look into colleges that are giving college credits for high school work. I'm hearing from parents who say, yeah, my kids took AP, but the colleges won't take the credits. I was at the graduation because I'm on the Alumni Association of Bishop Brady, and the valedictorian who graduated with 36 college credits, that she's going to the University of Notre Dame, and they accepted the 36 college credits. And there are programs in this state, 2 or 3 different colleges that have, well, one Southern New Hampshire University that has a deal with 340 colleges, that credits from those that you get through Southern New Hampshire University that you're taking in high school will be accepted. Now, 36 credits with what college is costing right now is a big savings. And I think we really ought to start looking serious into this. It's been 4 years since I first brought it up, and I think the time has come. That's my spiel. That's it.
Thank you, Dan. Anything else for public comment? Okay. All right, so we've got continuing business. Superintendent's report is in our packet. You see Amanda outlined some of the current remaining openings. Did anyone have any questions about what she mentioned in her memo that we can have Rob follow up with? Okay. This is a significantly smaller list than what I've seen, so that's good. All right. So next we have the business administrator report.
Yes, I have my written report there. One item on my agenda tonight is for the unassigned fund balance retention. So according to the state, we can retain up to 5% of the local assessment, which is like $977,000. So I'm requesting that we retain $500,000, mostly due to the fact that we're going to have a very tight budget next year, and we're in an environment of increasing costs. So even after retaining $500,000, we would still return about $1 million back to the taxpayers to lower the tax burden. So we spent under budget this year significantly, mostly due because COVID restrictions, like lack of field trips, there was some unfilled positions. So we spent about 3% of our budget. The year hasn't closed yet, but the numbers look like we'll return about $1 million, and we can retain $500,000.
So we can add under new business the motion unless someone wants to make it now and get it over with.
I'll make the motion to retain the $500,000 of the
Unassigned.
Unassigned
Unassigned
balance,
balance.
right, yes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, so all in favor of retaining the 2.56%, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, passes 4-0-0.
Thank you.
Anything else, Rob?
That's all for me tonight. You have quarterly reports from other departments, so I figured you had plenty of reading material.
Yeah. Great. We don't have any of our other folks with us, but we do have the reports. So I'll encourage anyone who has specific questions from a specific report to get back to the person who wrote it. Unless there was anything that we should bring up for public discussion. No?
I don't have any.
I didn't have it. Okay, great. Okay, so now we'll move on to new business. We've got the donation from the Jack and Dorothy Burton Foundation. Someone wants to make a motion for us to start discussion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the donation of $15,000 from the Jack and Dorothy Burton Foundation for the MVRHS Washington DC trip 2023.
And a second?
Oh,
Thank you, Candace. Okay, so we heard from Mr. Sweetland, kind of the history of how this very generous donation came to be. I think at this point we can just accept the donation for its stated purpose, and then
that was gonna be the question I had. It's very specific that the 15,000 is to be used for the 23 DC trip. So I
Is it?
think if we're approving it for that,
Yes.
it's very specific. It needs, I think if we either don't approve tonight and come back with the amendment, or we approve and use it as, right? Because you can't go back and change it after. Question mark.
yeah, I mean, we could, Rob, if we approve it for this particular trip and it's not all expended during this trip cycle, it would just stay in the DC trip account,
Yes.
correct, or the field trips account, right?
Yes.
And it could be rolled over, correct?
I would say so.
I know that we've done that in the past for
Yeah.
what was that, the fashion trip, like they had some amount that
Yeah.
stayed in there and was rolled over. We could always amend the motion to just say for the Washington DC trip. I would be more comfortable keeping Washington DC trip in there, because that was the specific request, and that was what the Burton Foundation was sending the amount for. I'd be okay with taking off the year if that was something that Bill felt more comfortable with.
Right. The intention is, I hope it enables several students to participate, so to increase participation in this particular trip, which I do believe Mr. Sweetland spoke to, that
Right.
they would like to increase it, get another chaperone.
Right.
So that is what is going to happen with funds that we know of.
Right.
So for this year.
Yeah.
So, so just amend the motion
To take out the year.
to take out the year. Do I need to do that officially?
Whoever made the original motion.
I did.
Yes.
Okay. I'll amend the motion to accept the donation of $15,000 from the Jack and Dorothy Burton Foundation for the purpose of the MVRHS Washington DC trip.
Candace, are you okay with that amendment? Any other discussion?
I think we should encourage Mr. Sweetland to round up as many people that want to
Yeah.
go and take advantage of the opportunity.
It's a great
Absolutely.
gift, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so we're ready to vote on this motion. All in favor of approving the donation, accepting the donation of $15,000 for the Washington DC trip, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The ayes have it. Thank you to the Burton Foundation.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the New Hampshire School Board Association, school board membership dues. We've got information in our packet related to the amount. We're a seven-member board, so it would be the $350 a year, and that's per board, not board member. And this allows us to receive the workshops and things like that. So that's great. We do also, do we need to put in a separate amount for the policy subscription services?
I do not believe so.
Okay, great. So I think that we're just looking for a motion to approve the paying the membership dues at this point.
Well, I'm confused about the 450 that's mentioned above. There will be no dues increase this year, and the school board policy subscription service will remain at 450.
So we approving for 800 for the two?
We could say, if we're not sure, then we could always say up to 800.
Do you know,
Okay.
Rob?
So it would be the 350,
Plus the 450 for
Plus
the,
the
for the
450.
policy subscription?
yeah.
Okay,
That's the,
So
all right, so we'll say 800.
the total's 800, right?
looks like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to?
I'll make a motion that we approve the NHSBA dues of $800 for the 2023 year.
I'll second.
And just for the minutes, we'll make sure that, that we reflect that that includes both the policy subscription services, which we take advantage of pretty frequently when we're doing our policy reviews, and looking at sample policies, as well as the 7-person member dues of $350. Any other questions or discussion?
I know that I use the training events, the webinars.
Absolutely.
All the time, so it's great.
Yeah,
Very
and
helpful, and the policy things we could not do without.
Right.
I'm actually shocked it's this low. I
Yeah.
didn't know it was. So.
yeah, it is definitely reasonable. Okay. All in favor of approving the membership dues payment for New Hampshire School Board Association, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. We are on a roll. Okay. Next, we have the Schoolwork Goals that we developed at our retreat earlier this month. We've got the draft here. Well, before we start discussing, I want to make a motion. I always forget.
So I'll make a motion to approve the Mascoma Valley Region School Board Goals for 22-23.
Second?
Thank you. Okay, so were there any, in looking at this draft, was there anything that wasn't captured or that we need to rephrase?
I think there was something we had twice. No, I can't see it. Oh, yeah. If you go under finance and facilities.
Yep.
And maybe we purposely wanted to do this. I can't really remember, honestly. There are 4 goals. Number 4 is review fiscal and budgetary communications, and then communications also review fiscal and budgetary communications. We did that purposely so that we would coordinate the
It
two?
was on purpose.
It was
I
on
think it was.
purpose.
There was a
Okay.
discussion
There you
on
go.
how
That's-
important it was and who was going to be responsible, and each group was responsible for something
Right,
else.
okay. I just couldn't remember if
Yeah.
that was that or we just put it twice.
Yeah. Yes.
So that was it.
It's that important.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, there's a talk of like, what was it, revamping the
Right,
information that
looking
goes
at-
out and how it's presented.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that the,
In both angles. yeah.
right,
Okay.
from,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
we felt that the budget committee fell under kind of that finance
Right.
section as far as the goals, so. All coming back. Was there anything else that we needed to review again? Under communications, number 2, we need a period at the end. You know, consistency wise, and actually there's some, the first one under EIC also gets a period. Those are the other 2. Okay. We'll go ahead and if there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and vote on approving the schoolwork goals for 22-23. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose and abstain. It passes. Okay, we're under new business, student wellness initiative, behavior health grant approval. Was that somewhere that I didn't see?
It wasn't in the packet.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, so I have no
Okay.
information.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to table that item because we have no information about it.
Okay.
Everyone all right with that?
Yep.
Okey-doke.
I was just unpacking.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna need some
I was
to
just
read
saying, I was like,
after.
it's just not, you can see it in the electronic, and then it also was in the stack. All right. So we've got agenda items for next meeting, committee reports, back to school, staff lunch, and bus routes. Is there anything else?
What's the date for the next
Yeah.
meeting?
Did we?
2nd in July from 26th, something like that.
Yes.
They're skipping the first
Okay, so it's the,
meeting that would have happened in July, so it's a month from now.
yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be fun. Okay. And we're back around to public comment. Anything else from our
Nope.
guests? All right.
I do have something
Yeah.
to share. So this addresses the college credits at the high school level. And EIC had a meeting with the Dartmouth Health Initiative group and others. And we had several of the faculty members attending that, both in person and remotely. I don't think you were around for that meeting, Dan, but it was really a great meeting, and we've got a lot of people thinking outside of the box now for these college credits. And with the help of the Dartmouth Hitchcock Health Network, we can reach out to a lot of places that will do career type learning with college credits available, and also partner with Southern New Hampshire universities and other online universities. So the curriculum is being modified now, and it's a lengthy process, but everyone is working towards that goal to help lessen the burden, the financial burden of going on to a higher education, whether it be, a liberal arts college or a career focus, work while you earn credit based things. So it was, we were very fortunate to have so many people reach out and help us. I think there's another company in Lebanon that does the same thing, and the name escapes me, but they were mentioned as well.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'll also interject that on the advising side, I think that there has been more conversations with students about dual enrollment options. I think my own son has an eStart or Ready Start class that he's taking next year. So I think it's getting out there, slow, a little more slowly than I think both of us would like. I agree with you about the AP versus dual enrollment and the functionality, the practicality of those two options. I've definitely always preferred the dual enrollment because you have not based on just how you do on one exam, but how you do over the course of the semester.
Is it
You also know going in
Correct.
what schools are going to accept it.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
Yes.
my son did a statistics class in Hanover and it didn't get accepted.
Yeah.
The
Right.
AP class.
Yeah.
at UNH, but that's also on their side of
Yeah.
the equation
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so it's a really good point and something that we'll want to continue to bring up, and hopefully that will also be part of our conversations as we look at reviewing our strategic plan again in this coming year. That should be part of that conversation as well. Okay. Seeing no other public comment, we do have personnel, resignations, and nominations, the green sheet that we have in front of us.
Yes, so the nominations on the green sheet are mostly renewals for athletic coach positions. There's also 2 additions for 2 new student workers for the summer for custodial work. That brings the total to 4, which is our capacity for the positions that we have for student workers. And everybody else is just a renewal.
Great, this is good news.
Yeah.
Yep. Getting there, for sure. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to accept these nominations.
So I'll make a motion to accept the nominations as presented for staff.
Second. Thank you. All right, any other further conversation or discussion? All in favor of accepting the nominations as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Or abstained? And ayes have it. All right, Rob, do we have reason for non-public tonight?
We do, for the purpose of hiring, we have non-public session.
Need a motion to go into non-public? Yes, please.
So moved. Second. Roll call, all in favor of, roll call vote for going into non-public. Danielle, aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.